Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell for upcoming videos. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at the UK asylum seeker crisis. Today we will be looking at the 93-metre long mega barge that is going to be used to house the asylum seekers in Britain. The Bibby Stockholm was built in 1976 and can accommodate more than 500 men and will be moored off the coast of Dorset. Bibby Stockholm is owned by the Bibby Transportation and Logistics Corporation Company. The government insists that the plan is to place the migrants on the boat while their claims are processed and will cut the £6 million a day costs that we pay to house the immigrants in hotels. The three-storey Bibby Stockholm barge was previously used by the Dutch government to house asylum seekers but was branded an oppressive environment to live in. The government has insisted that by placing the asylum seekers on the barge, this will help cut the costs of the £6 million a day that we pay for hotels for the asylum seekers while their claims are processed. The promotional material about the barge informs people that there are 222 bedrooms for 222 guests, but the Home Office plans to house around 500 men, sometimes 4 to a room. The boat was previously used by the energy firm Petrofac for workers building Shetland gas plant. We can now report that the daily cost to hire the barge is anywhere between £8,000 to £15,000 per day. The government and Home Office state that it will provide basic and functional accommodation and healthcare provisions. The Bibby Stockholm also provides other leisure facilities. These range from a fully functioning multi-gym, a pool table, restaurant and catering facilities, and also some fine cuisine. The Bibby Stockholm also features a bar. The Government and Home Office have not confirmed whether they will maintain the upkeep and running costs of these other facilities, apart from the accommodation. The Home Office have stated that the asylum seekers will not be held as captives or prisoners and will be free to come and go as they please. Now, I just want to stop in this point of the video and just reflect on what I've just said. It says that the Home Office and the government state that these people will not be held captive and they will be free to come and go as they please. Now, there's two laws in this world that we all live by. One is the law of the land that you might be familiar with. The other one is classed as maritime law, which is the law of the water. So if you was positioned in a boat and someone on the land wanted to board your boat, they would need permission from the captain or from the crew. Otherwise, the only way to board that boat would to be on a boat yourself in the water under the same maritime law, which you would then be able to board the boat, which gives customs an exercise and revenue, and the police, who have speedboats, power boats, any sort of boats that they are able to board your ship without any sort of permission, any legal paperwork, or any warrant, because you're already on the water and so are they. Therefore, you come under the same law. So my question would be to the government is how do you expect people to be able to come and go as they please if they're not allowed to board the land because they'd need a passport to, and to board the land it would be a change of laws when they're already in maritime law. In this next video, we have a look at what the impact of the asylum seekers in hotels is having on the local community and what the results are.
Almost 400 hotels across the UK are now being used by the government to house more than 50,000 asylum seekers. Seaside resorts, airports and even retirement villages are among the locations that are being used as part of a Home Office scheme, which is costing more than £6 million every day. Our Home Affairs correspondent, Daniel Sanford, has this report.
Welcome to the Wiltshire, a hotel, golf course and retirement village set in rolling hills near Royal Wootton Bassett, home to more than 100 mostly older residents. now also home to more than 80 asylum seekers who moved in December. The Leisure Village residents pay to access the hotel's pool, gym and golf course, but have had to enter by the back door since the asylum seekers moved in. Down in the village, I found resident and former TV presenter Christopher Morris, now 84 years old and quietly fuming.
We find it difficult now to access the facilities. We can't go in the front door, it's locked. There are security men shooing us away. We have to go around the back, and the facilities are much more reduced. People don't bother to go there anymore.
The retired residents are unnerved by the arrival of lots of young men who mill around at night, but they're not the only ones who say the hotel is completely unsuitable for asylum seekers. I found 25-year-old Simpe from Sudan heading to catch a bus to Swindon. He's been in the hotel for 3 months and says its isolated location means there's no way of learning about British society.
There is nothing to do here. Nothing. We stay the whole day at the room doing nothing.
What do you do?
Nothing. Actually, we started getting depressed. I've been talking with them to see some therapists.
The Home Office have also stated that they will be using disused army bases and RAF bases based around the whole of the UK. As of this present time, these are all currently under refurbishment programmes and are being renovated to bring them up to standards out of disrepair, where they have sat dormant for so many years.
Hello, do you work at the hotel? Because I'm a reporter and I would like to ask you some questions about the residents of your hotel. Are you the manager? How many migrants have you got in your hotel today, Ms? Hello. I would just like to know how long this hotel will be closed to the public. So I'm not sure whether this is migrants or whether this is the so-called Afghans. I've just had a message today sent from a local gentleman to say that he's worked in the holiday inn at Garforth as a kitchen manager, and he was disgusted to see what the Afghan refugees got. He had £10,000 a week to spend on food and sweets and chocolate and pop for them. He says they've so much money of their own, they're walking about in Rolex watches, driving new cars, while people like us are skivvying.
Staying at this hotel? Yeah. Well, do you mind me asking where you're from?
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka? Yeah. How long have you been here?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah.
Is the hotel nice here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
I am here 3 weeks.
We now take a look at the case of a single dad who was staying long term in the hotel as part of his accommodation and agreement so he could see his children at the weekend. He had therefore now been asked to move out and make way for the immigrants.
We've got our priorities all wrong in this country. Today I went to visit Wickford in Essex, which is set to be the latest in a long line of towns to have an asylum seeker hotel. But nothing sums up the total lunacy of this government's approach to asylum seekers than what I witnessed today. This particular hotel is on a road populated by mostly elderly people in their retirement. They have worked their entire lives and paid their taxes. They've saved up so that they can spend their final years in peace and quiet in what is a lovely part of the world. And then one day, boom, without any warning whatsoever, they're told that 100 asylum seekers are moving in next door. Now, by definition, we don't know who all these people are. We don't know anything about them. And yet we'll plant 100 of them in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do all day, almost no security whatsoever, in a hotel that has a public footpath leading directly to a nursery school. And then, on top of that, there were people who use that hotel as their long-term place of residence, people who book it out for months at a time, people who use it so that they can technically have an address so that they can see their children at the weekends. And they've been turfed out now just to make way for these people. Just have a look now at the devastating impact that this has had on one man who is trained to be a firefighter, so basically a public servant, a man willing to risk his life for people like you and I in times of absolute crisis. He will now no longer be able to see his children because of a result of him being made homeless for these people. Check this out.
I got a knock on the door Wednesday last week telling me that I've got to leave the hotel after 2 years of paying my rent. Because asylum seekers are taking the hotel.
In a nutshell, as a result of this hotel, supposedly anyway, about to accommodate asylum seekers, they've now made British citizens homeless and unable to see their kids.
But they've made them intentionally homeless because they've made a signed letter saying that we have voluntarily left the hotel. As a result of this, I could break down crying now, bruv. Ruins me. Stressed me out to the max.
But it's not just the fact that it's happening, is it? It's the fact that it's all being done in secret. It's all cloak and dagger. It's all clandestine. It's all wrong. It's almost like they have something to hide, isn't it? Nobody will ever be able to convince me that a full-blown British citizen who has worked and paid into the system his or her whole life should be turfed out so that we can make way for what some people would regard as illegal immigrants, so that the taxpayer can put them into a semi-luxury hotel with 3 square meals a day. Now, I'm all for tolerance and inclusivity, but why should elderly residents be made to have to update the security at their homes in their dotage, to have to pick their granddaughters up from the station because they don't think it's safe for them to walk home anymore? Why should people doing a public service job be made homeless to accommodate these other people? And then, of course, we've got the bleeding heart Liberals, haven't we, saying to us that we need more help. We need to do more to help. Well, from where I'm sitting, we're doing quite enough already. Well, there we go. That's my views, of course, but I want to hear from you. You can get in touch, farage@gbnews.uk. But I'm asking you, my audience question, do we have our priorities all wrong in this country? Get in touch, email that email again, farage@gbnews.uk, or tweet us using the hashtag Farage on GB News. And I asked one resident, OK, about the safety of his granddaughters. I went over there today, OK, to Wickford in Essex. We got a tip-off, and one of our producers here, George Ivell, did a tremendous job managing to investigate all of this, putting it all together for us, getting in touch with people. And here's what one chap had to say about, well, basically, sort of the fears for the safety of his loved ones in the area.
They wouldn't. We wouldn't allow it. Their husbands or boyfriends or their grandparents, we wouldn't allow it. If they got to the main railway station, if they was London and got to Wickford station, they will be picked up by us. There's no way they'll walk past there. It's far too dangerous.
Yeah, that's David there, of course. But I also asked David about the local area and basically how safe he thought it was going to be going forward for locals.
Just up there, there's a nursery school, and there's a direct footpath from the Chichester Hotel, goes through that field,
straight to a nursery school?
Back to the nursery.
Straight to a nursery school?
Straight outside the nursery gate.
Goodness me.
And there's 100 children in there.
Gosh.
Of all age from 6 months old to whatever, 5 or 6 years old. I feel completely let down by all the authorities, yeah. And I wasn't very happy with the reply I got from the Home Office either.
Do you think you should be allowed to vote on this? Do you think local people should be allowed to vote on whether or not they want a migrant hotel?
Yes, I do. And I've called a meeting this Wednesday, coming, the 13th, in the village hall. And so far, there's about 200 people turning up. We can't accommodate the amount of people that's going to turn up. So you can see the response. And people can say that it's racist. It's not racist.
No, it's not racist, is it? It's about a matter of principle, basic safety and, frankly, common sense. But as I was chatting to David there, and thank you very much, David, I'm sure you are watching now. It was great to meet you and your lovely wife as well earlier on today. But somebody else got in touch, actually. They could see that we were doing an interview. That's what happens when you drive around in a big branded GB News car. But they basically said, oh, look, my partner would like to talk to you. He's at work at the minute. He lives somewhere on that road anyway. And here's his number. Can you give him a bell? And so I did speak to this particular chap. He wished to remain anonymous. That's fair enough. Who slammed the authorities for the lack of notice given.
It's very distressing that nobody is informing us about anything that's going on that could jeopardise the safety of the community.
Yeah, and I suppose there's an issue about what these people do all day as well, because there's not a lot to do around here, is there?
Well, no. I mean, if they're hanging around your properties, eyeing it up, I don't know what's going to happen. My other half, she likes gardening. She's going to feel very intimidated not to go out in the front garden, and she might not be safe in this time there to be sitting in the back garden. That's another concern with the neighbours as well. He said exactly the same thing.
So, really, this is just going to change your way of life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would be just constant stress, worry, because I'm at work. The wife works at home and alone. There could be a serious problem. I can't get home quick enough.
I can't get home quick enough. Just bear that in mind. Now, it's important to say that we're not trying to make out here that there's this picture of every single asylum seeker is some kind of threat, or every single person who's going to be in one of these hotels poses some kind of threat to wider society. It's the fact that we just don't know in a lot of cases, isn't it? And it's a matter of principle, and it's the secrecy of it as well. But I spoke to one of the residents who was actually evicted from this hotel. Now, he was on a long stay, OK? So he was basically there, he'd work there and get to see his kids at the weekends because that gave him, technically, an address, right? OK? So he does suffer from mental health issues. We have chosen to hide his identity, but I just want to warn you, ladies and gentlemen, this is moving stuff. Here's what he had to say after being evicted.
I got a knock on the door Wednesday last week telling me that I've got to leave the hotel after 2 years of paying my rent. Because asylum seekers are taking the hotel. The Home Office have got a scheme going on. We all thought it was scaremongering, and then Saturday morning I got a knock at the door, have to move my clothes and move everything, so I moved everything to a staff room. They needed 32 rooms and there was 36, so they saved 4 for staff. They gave me a room, and then the owner of the hotel, the owner of the hotel, the leaseholder, he comes and calls a meeting for all the long-term stays. He said that he didn't know about the long-term stays, that our tenancies are invalid, and he wants us out. I had to go to a B&B out of my comfort zone, away from my work environment, so I'm having to spend extra money. And now I can't see my children because the B&B don't allow children.
In a nutshell, as a result of this hotel, supposedly anyway, about to accommodate asylum seekers, they've now made British citizens homeless and unable to see their kids.
So they've made them intentionally homeless because they've made a signed letter saying that we have voluntarily left the hotel.
Is your mental health all right now? Has it been made worse?
Mate, I've got PTSD, body dysmorphia, anxiety and depression and borderline personality disorder. It's ruined me. If you look at my face now, I've got bruises all over my face where I've self-harmed myself last week, punched myself 50 times in the face.
As a result of this?
As a result of this, I could break down crying now, bruv. It ruins me. Stress me out to the max.
All right, mate. Yeah? All right, well, look, let's leave it there, yeah? All right. Are you OK?
No. It's just stressful. It's just out of order.
Yeah, it was very difficult, that. Of course, it's much more difficult for that particular chap, and it just doesn't really make any sense to me. And so I decided that, OK, well, enough's enough of this now. There's only one thing for it. We have to actually go into this hotel and demand some answers. So here's what's happened. Well, look, the people here clearly want answers. I think we all want answers. There's a chance that this kind of thing is happening up and down the country. So let's go and try and speak to the management and see if we can get some of those answers. Doesn't appear to be too much security so far, which is potentially quite concerning. Oh, hello there. Is it possible to speak to the management at all?
Do you want to come in?
Is that all right? Oh, thank you. Lovely. Cheers. Thank you so much. Gosh. Yeah? Oh, hello, mate. You all right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can leave. I'll ring the police.
Is it possible to have a quick chat with you about what's happening at the hotel? It's just...
Please.
We just want to give you a right of reply on some quite serious allegations. So it's just, we've been told that potentially some people have been made homeless to accommodate the asylum seekers, and we just wondered if you would like to comment on that. Yeah, can you just tell us what you're going to do to make sure the place stays secure? Because there's a direct footpath to a nursery school there, and just wanted to make sure that none of the asylum seekers were going to be able to do anything about that now.
Can you leave the building, please?
You're
actually, like, illegally entering the building.
It's just a massive public interest, is the thing.
But it's not, because it's actually been shut down, so...
Has the Home Office paid you a lot of money? Give the right.
Can you leave?
That's fine. That's all right, mate. No, we've just got to give you the right to reply to some serious allegations. That's all.
Guys, could you please leave?
Are you going to consult any of the residents about this?
Can you leave, please?
Okay. All right. Fine. Fair enough. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Take care. We won't put you in, mate. Right, well, there we go. Obviously, a bit of a no-comment interview there, but that's, to be honest with you, what we're expecting. We're quite surprised to get in, actually, but there we go. We reached out to the Home Office, who gave the following replies. So this is from the Home Office, OK? So they said this. This is exclusively to us, by the way. The use of hotels to house asylum seekers is unacceptable, and we are working with local authorities to find appropriate long-term accommodation across the United Kingdom. Decisions on members of the public who are temporarily residing at hotels are a matter for the hoteliers, and the Home Office instructs providers to carry out thorough diligence checks before any site is used. Well, there we go. I mean, to be honest with you, that site was pretty shoddy, so I'd be amazed if that passed any diligence checks. But we also wanted to contact the MP for Rayleigh and Wickford, Mark Francois, and unfortunately wasn't able to appear on the show this evening. He was a busy man, that's fair enough, but he did give us very kindly this particular statement. He said the hotel was previously used to temporarily house homeless people during the COVID pandemic, but this is somewhat different. As I understand it, no plans have yet been put into operation, but I will be contacting the Home Office, the local council, and of course the hotel owners tomorrow to understand exactly what is being proposed and when. In the longer term, he continued, we need to stand up to interfering European human rights judges so that flights to Rwanda can commence, meaning this accommodation will no longer be required. Now, it's worth noting that we had also reached out to the local council and the hotel themselves, but both have decided not to reply. Well, there we go. Make of that what you will, ladies.
The Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, is not the first person to come up with new ideas and gimmicks with regards to the immigration problem in the UK. Her predecessor, Priti Patel, had also tried several other schemes and gimmicks that failed to work and fell outside of being under the law. When people voted for Brexit in this country, they were under the impression that this would take control back of their borders. They were hoodwinked and lied to, as this agreement and the asylum seeker bill extends outside of them terms and conditions of the EU and is not even part of the EU agreement. Back in 2021, a High Court judge ruled that UK asylum seekers waiting for their applications to be processed were to be given 4-star or 5-star hotels as a minimal accommodation. The army barracks and army bases they were placed in before ruled that they would come under the Equality Act, because these people placed in these accommodation are treated differently to those who would be of UK citizenship and nationals that live here already. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below on what you think of this topic and what sort of suggestions you have which would make a good outcome to how to deal with this situation. In the meantime, I'll leave you with video footage from the army base where the UK immigrants were placed last time and the result of what happened when they were denied a 50-inch TV request. They burnt it to the ground. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos and updates, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.